Welcome back to AI for Pastors. This is episode 4 of our weekly live stream. This is something new that we've started doing really just within the last couple months. And the goal of this stream is once a week to get on here and to tackle different subjects and to demonstrate different tutorials and subjects and really just to be a resource. And so if you happen to stumble upon this live stream during this time, I would encourage you to just get involved in the comments. If there's questions that you have, if there's things that you don't know, or maybe just want to start a conversation on, we'd love for this to be an opportunity to do that. We have several, we actually have 4 or 5 big things that we're going to be talking about tonight. We're going to talk about content creation, so graphic design. Again, I want to just set the stage for what this channel really is for, and the goal of this channel is to equip pastors with the knowledge and the ability to utilize these new tools to further their kingdom impact and to really allow them to spend more time in their week doing things like prayer, pastoral care, visitation, pouring into the word, and all the things that these tools can't do for us. There's a lot of busy work that these tools can help us do, and it can free up a lot of time. And there's a lot of pastors out there that are overwhelmed and have many hats that they wear on a weekly basis. And so any tools that we can use to give us a little help throughout the week is good. But with that said, as we all know, I'm sure you watching this right now, you know that AI is not free from controversy, and so there's challenges and there's ethical conversations and moral dilemmas, and that's another thing that we try to tackle on this channel is where how should we use AI? How should we not use AI? What are some of the coming issues that AI is going to create? And what's our response as Christians, as pastors, and how can we best navigate that? How can we lead our congregations through that? And so the reality is whether we like it or not, and I'm going to probably say this every single week, AI is not going away. AI is going to be here, and we need to, whether you want to utilize it or not, we need to be prepared to be able to lead our congregations and our children and our families, and the Christian response for what is coming, because we're going to see major shifts in the world of technology. Within the next year, probably within the next 5 years, certainly. And so we need to be prepared. We need to be prepared for that. And so make sure you're engaged in the comments and let us know if there's a question that you have. If there's maybe something that you're working on and we can maybe tackle it together on stream. I've got all the tools. And so we can maybe workshop something together. That'd be a fun use of this time. I'll probably try to keep this stream to about an hour. And you'll notice throughout the stream, we're going to kind of segment this into multiple different parts, and then we'll clip these things out. We'll make videos from them later on to be shown throughout the week. And so, if this time feels a little kind of chopped up, that's because we're kind of basically live filming segments that we're then going to clip and put back up on YouTube, hopefully to be able to again fulfill the mission of this channel, which is to equip pastors with the ethical use of artificial intelligence to aid and support their pastoral ministry. And so some of the things that we're going to talk about this evening, I mentioned already graphic design. Pastors are not necessarily graphic designers, but in this world of social media and digital media, pastors are being expected to do more and more content creation. And so there's tools that can really help with that. We're going to talk a little bit more about better prompt writing. And so these AI tools, you write a prompt and it gives you a response. And so the better the prompt you submit, the better response you're going to get. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about a tool in ChatGPT called Deep Research, and that's a pretty amazing tool. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about OpenAI's new agent model, which this is really just, came out within the last week or two. And opens a lot of doors. And really, I think it gives a glimpse of where this technology is going. Whether it's necessarily going to be super valuable or beneficial in pastoral ministry specifically, maybe not as much as in other industries, but there's still some use cases. There's a project that I've been real busy with a lot of stuff, and there's a project that I've been wanting to kind of tackle for a while. And I'll be honest, I have not used the new agents feature, and so we're going to actually try it out live on stream, and we're going to see what we get. We're going to talk about a piece of hardware that I use as a pastor, someone who's in a lot of meetings. Basically, it's you can kind of think of it as a digital secretary. It transcribes meetings and then summarizes those meetings into next steps, meeting minutes, summaries, all that kind of stuff. And so we're going to talk about that. That's Plod AI. So we're going to talk about that. And then lastly, we're going to talk about kind of a switch that I've made recently. And, these tools are good. ChatGPT is good. They're kind of the industry standard right now. But I've actually found myself recently making the switch from OpenAI's ChatGPT. And I'm not saying it's not a good program, but I've actually been using Google's Gemini. And I think Google Gemini has actually really upped their game. And there's some really specific reasons why I think it's better in pastoral ministry than ChatGPT. And so we're going to talk about why Gemini may be the right fit for you when it comes to pastoral ministry. And so with that, we're going to get into it. This first, I'm going to bear with me. I'm going to pull up my split screen here. So we're going to talk about if we just put ourselves into a situation. You are a pastor. You've got a lot of things that you're trying to do throughout the week, and you have an event coming up. Not many churches are blessed with the ability to have a full-time graphic designer on staff. And so what do you do in that situation? Well, typically one of two things happen. Either your event's going to go unpublicized, unpromoted, because you just don't have the technical know-how to be able to create the content to put it out, or you as a pastor, again, not having graphic design experience, are going to be putting out something that's really just not engaging. It's not going to put your best foot forward. It's not going to promote your event in the way that really it deserves to be promoted. So how do we do this? Well, again, we're going to start in ChatGPT. We're going to pretty much use ChatGPT throughout this entire episode until the very end. Everything that I'm doing now, you can do in Gemini as well. And so that's kind of the bridge there. And it really all works exactly the same. So, but we're going to talk about Gemini at the end. So when it comes to content creation, let's just pretend you have an event coming up. And let's say the event is, I'm going to just use a personal example. I'll try to leave out personal details, but say you have a church in the park event. So I'm in ChatGPT. I'm in the 4.0 model. And this is currently the premium version of ChatGPT. You can do this in the free version as well. Again, you're going to get better results on the higher models. And so if you find yourself doing a lot of this stuff regularly, $20 a month may be worth it. I know it's worth it for me because I use this stuff every day. Especially if you think of how much it would cost you to hire a graphic designer. $20 a month is highly affordable, especially with all the other benefits that you get from this. And so if you're using the tool, it does end up being worth it to pay for the premium subscription. If you're just using this at home for a personal thing, you really don't need. You can do all of this. I have a lot of good friends just use the free version. That's totally fine. So let's just give this a prompt. We're going to say, I have a, actually, let's say, create a square graphic to promote an upcoming event. And I really wanted to say church in the park, so we're going to put that in parentheses because that's kind of the name. That's kind of the name of our event. The event is a church in the park. It is this Sunday. For anybody watching this that happens to attend my church and knows that we have this event coming up, it is not this Sunday. This is fictitious. It is this Sunday. Service starts at 10 a.m. with picnic to follow. And I'm actually going to leave this misspelt. I think it's good to just see. I think it'll figure it out. Picnic to follow. Bring your own chair. Bounce houses for kids. Invite a friend. I don't know, something like that. So this is actually a great opportunity. Let's just, I mentioned this in the last episode. Prompt writing is a skill. And it's a skill that we're going to see that we're going to get better and better at. It's almost it's like learning to use any tool, but not everyone's good at prompt writing. And so why don't we could literally, let's just copy this. Actually, I'm going to cut it, and I'm going to say revise this prompt to make it more, we'll say, effective in creating a social media graphic. So I'm now going to paste the kind of wishy-washy prompt that I just wrote. And this really just demonstrates that you don't have to have technical know-how. You just need to be able to communicate what it is that you want to this tool. And if you're not communicating it in a way that the tool would produce the best response, then tell the tool to rewrite what it is that you want for it to give you the best result. So this is exactly what we're doing. Revise the prompt to make it more effective in creating a social media graphic, and then we provide the prompt. So it's now going to revise the prompt, and it's giving a lot more details, vibrant. It keeps the quotes. So we're going to just copy this, and I'm now going to paste it right below. So we've literally just told it, very basic, this idea of this graphic that we want. We know we didn't do a good job in crafting the prompt. That's okay, because we then told the tool to revise it to make it a good prompt based off what we're looking for. And then we just then take that prompt that it wrote for us and enter it in, and it's now going to create the graphic. And so it's going to do this in real time. And we're going to sit, and we're going to wait for a minute. Again, while this is working on it, I would just encourage anybody that has any questions or anything that you'd like to see us make, um, throw it in the comments. Okay, so this is what we got. Um, so church in the park this Sunday, service at 10 a.m. Picnic to follow. Bring your own chairs. Bounce houses for kids. Everyone welcome. Invite a friend. You know, I mean, it's not a bad graphic. We are going to have bounce houses. It kind of sets the stage. I appreciate that they, you know, I don't typically like to include people in an AI generated images, because it gets kind of dicey. So I appreciate it. That's more illustrative and not more artistic, and it's not like trying to make fake people. These are just drawings, and so. But say we didn't want that. Let's just say remove people and make it more simple, right? And so this is that conversational. We don't know what it is that we don't want until we see the thing that we don't want. And so we started very vague and very general, and then we can refine this through the process. So we're going to remove the people, make it more simple and clean, and we'll see what it gives us. And you can give it color if your church has specific color profiles, or I mean, really, just tell it what it is that you're wanting in that prompt. And if you're struggling with the prompt, then put the best you can in the prompt, and then tell it, revise this prompt to make it more effective for image creation, and it's going to do it for you. And so we're now revising the first graphic that it made. So this was graphic number one. If while it's producing, let's just back up for anybody that just happened to be popping in. The goal right now, we're looking at image creation, and so we knew that the prompt that we wrote was not going to give a good result. This was the original prompt. We just literally wrote out what it is that we were wanting, gave it no specifics. We then added this kind of preface. We said, revise this prompt to make it more effective in creating a social media graphic. We included our little hodgepodge of a prompt. It then gave us a revised prompt that would actually produce a better result. We took that prompt and we just copy and pasted it in this same chat thread, and it produced this image for our Church in the Park event. We didn't want to include people in it, just because stylistically that's not what we're looking for. And so we said remove people and make it more simple and clean. And it did. If you wanted like a hyper realistic, photorealistic, or if you wanted it to look like it was taken from a certain type of camera, input all that stuff in the prompt, and it's going to do it. And so obviously we're looking at a very kind of minimalistic, kind of cartoony graphic. If you had a logo, we could right here add photos and files. I could include my church's logo and tell it to incorporate the logo into this image. And so I just hope you see this is a really short example of how this tool can be used. Put yourself in the mindset of you're a pastor, you have maybe a part-time secretary, you don't have a graphic designer, you have this event coming up and it's an evangelistic event. You want people to come, you want people to see it, and you want to engage the community. Well, we live in a digital world where people are engaging on social media on these platforms, and you want to be able to promote your event. And so this is an easy way for you to be able to do that in a way that maybe you just couldn't financially afford to before. Again, this is a simple design, but I used to work in commercial print. And so I know what it costs to hire a professional graphic designer. It's 2 to 3 months worth of how much it costs for premium chat GPT per hour to work on these types of things. And so again, the challenge if you don't utilize tools like this, which now make it so easy for us, one of two things are happening. You're either going to be putting out a worse product, and product being the promotion of your event, or you're not going to be promoting your event at all. And we put a lot of time and effort and energy into putting together awesome ministry opportunities. It's a shame to then not be able to promote it because we don't have the graphic design know-how to be able to do it. And so this is one simple, easy way. Again, make sure you check these things. The last thing you want to be doing is putting out some AI generated ad with somebody with 7 fingers or 3 arms or doing something weird. That's not the kind of attention you want for your event. And it's for that reason, when it comes to AI generated stuff like this, I try to remove and just avoid things that are potentially controversial. No one's going to be upset over this AI generated bounce house. You put some person in this image, somebody might get upset. And so you can use your own wisdom in that. But if you have any questions, or if there's maybe an event that you have coming up and you'd like to see, I'll make an image for you here on stream. Just throw a brief explanation of your upcoming event, or maybe a sermon series. If you want a sermon title graphic, something like that, put it in the comments, and we'll pop this back up on screen, and we will potentially, hopefully, work on it together on stream. So that's graphic creation, and this is again through ChatGPT. There's so many tools now. There's Midjourney. There's obviously Gemini. Meta has an image creation platform. Ideogram. There's no shortage of places that you can go to use AI to create graphic design for you now. It does get expensive. If you start having 7 different subscriptions for 7 different tools, I mean, it gets pricey. It's just a reality. And so one of the things that I like to do, I've kind of committed myself, and this is, I mean, as somebody who studied this at a doctorate level, I've committed myself that I'm only paying for 1 premium subscription. And so, as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to be talking about my switch from ChatGPT to Gemini. I've actually, I'm currently on the premium ChatGPT just because my month hasn't ended yet. But I actually just canceled my ChatGPT subscription and migrated that over to Google's Gemini, and I'll explain why. But the goal is, how can we get the most amount done in one tool? Because it just gets overwhelming, right? And so ChatGPT we're going to use for this entire episode, and then we're going to switch to Gemini at the end. The next thing that I want to show you guys, I'm going to go here to a new chat, is deep research. So what is deep research? Deep research is a specific tool. You can use AI, you can use these tools to learn, to do research. And so and this is where it really comes in handy. And I know we're going to have an entire episode maybe next week tackling the subject of utilizing AI in sermon preparation. And I know just in saying that, some of you guys just got heartburn, and probably rightfully so. There's a difference in utilizing these tools to help you in your preparation for a sermon and using AI to write your sermon. Those are two very different things, and we're going to talk about that. You can utilize these tools no different than you would use a commentary on your bookshelf, or Googling or looking up information online. Again, just like with any commentary, just like with anything you're reading online or doing your own research, you need to verify it. This is not the sole authority of anything, and these tools do get things wrong. And so it can be a tool, but we need to make sure that we're not overly relying on that tool, especially when it comes to such important things like sermon preparation. And so with that being said, there is a tool, and I've used this tool many times. I've used it for some personal things. I've used it for some ministry related things, and the tool is called Deep Research. And so basically what this does, we're going to give it a, and actually, to be honest, I just realized I don't even have a concept to demonstrate this. If you're watching and you happen to have something that you would like to see AI do a deep research on, you got about 30 seconds, type it in the chat. And we'll utilize that for this demonstration. So I'll kind of stall a minute and give you a chance to throw something in the comments. And I'll put it so that way it'll pop up on screen. This is basically going to provide master's level research for us. It's gonna research 20 to 30 different sources. It's going to cite all the sources, and it's going to compile basically a 20 to 30 page report on the given subject that we're asking it to do a deep research on. And so, as far as the depth of what we're about to do, you've probably seen in ChatGPT, you give it a complex task, and it spits out a result in a matter of seconds. Like, it does a tremendous amount of like computational work in an instant. This tool, once we give it a prompt, it's going to take about 15 minutes to do everything that it's doing. So just if we just think about the processing that's taking place in that, it's pretty massive. And so we'll have this up on screen. Again, I don't see any chat. So if anybody has a subject that you'd like to see this subject deep researched, I'll give you a couple more seconds, or I'll just make up something. But I'd really like for you guys to steer this. And then while this is doing its deep research, I'm going to pull up a video highlighting the new agent mode for OpenAI. And so without seeing any comments, I am going to just make something up here. So let's do a deep research on, I want to get a detailed report, research the various evangelical views on eschatology. And I'm only, this came to mind because I led a Bible study this morning talking on eschatology. And so research the various evangelical views on eschatology. Now, you're going to notice I'm going to press enter, and it's actually not going to start yet. It's going to ask some questions to be able to give a better result. So to tailor the research to your needs, could you clarify a few things? Are you interested in a general overview of major evangelical eschatology? And it gives the primaries. Or a comparison of how different denominations interpret them. Would you like the research to include historical developments, scriptural basis, or prominent theologians associated with each view? That could be interesting. Should the focus be on contemporary perspectives or include historical ones as well? Is there a specific region, U.S. global evangelicalism or traditional Reformed Pentecostal? Okay, so let's answer these questions. 1, general overviews. 2, yes. 3, should it be focused on contemporary or historical ones? Well, we'll say both. Might as well get as much information as we can. Last question, specific region or tradition that I'm most interested in. I want to make sure that I'm not just feeding my own bias here. No region or tradition focus primarily on each view and its roots in scripture. And we're gonna see what we get. So again, deep research. We're asking to research the various evangelical views on eschatology. It comes up with a couple follow-up questions, just to make sure it's kind of tailoring its research to us. And then so we just answered those 4 questions. We're gonna hit enter, and it's off. So it's now gonna start working. And what's cool is we can actually watch what it's doing. And so it's starting the research. If I click this, we got to let it get started here. You'll actually be able to see in real time the various resources that it's looking at. And so I don't know, it's going to start populating over here. Activity, it's literally going to basically be writing out its thought process. And sources, it's going to start compiling these sources. And so we're going to give it a minute to kind of kick start. And after we watch this for a couple minutes, again, this whole process is going to take probably about 15 minutes. And so while it's doing this, after we kind of get an idea for this, I'm going to pull up a video and we're going to watch it's like a 2-minute video from OpenAI regarding their newest release of their agents model. Which is pretty, I mean, it's pretty a big step. I mean, so if we talk about the various types of artificial intelligence we've had, we're currently in narrow AI, which is artificial intelligence that's really good for a specific task. That's now branching into agentic AI, which is AI that can actually perform tasks. So think, I can ask this to go research and book a vacation for me, and it would actually be able to go do that. And we're going to talk a little bit about how it does that, which does bring up a whole bunch of like cybersecurity concerns of like credit cards being stolen and that kind of stuff. We're going to need to work on that. And then the next step after agentic AI would be things like artificial general intelligence, which, we're probably a couple of years away from. And so, okay, so we can see it's working here. So this is its thought process. I'm crafting an extensive report on the evangelical eschatology covering these different things. Each selection includes core beliefs, scriptural foundations, historical developments, and so on. So it's searching for the differences of the millennial views. I'm curious about a snippet from this article linked to Revelations 20. This makes me think that a detailed review will provide clarity on the topic. Here's the link. I could click that and read that for myself. It's noting the difference between classical, pre-mill, dispensational, post-mill, searching, examining the Gospel Coalition stance on these different things. And so you can see the progress, which this is what we would be doing. If I was going to write a report on this subject, this is the thought process I would research. I'd read something, and the thing that I would read, it would make me think of, I would come up with a question, and it would make me think of something else. Then I'm going to go research that question, and then all these different tangents that I'm going to go through this process to research this. Just in the last, I don't know what minute, it's already compiled 15 sources for us, and so we're going to have a nice little kind of citation sheet here at the end. For further research. Again, I will, and this, we need to be clear in this. It would be unethical for you to take this report and publish it as your own, as if you wrote it. Now, you can take this report and use it for your research, but I mean, plagiarism is when you are passing off something or someone else's work as if it was your own. And so if I was in school right now and I was tasked with writing a report on the different views of eschatology, it would be unethical for me to take this, copy and paste it, and submit it as if I researched and wrote it. This is a tool This is not the end destination. And so, if I'm preparing a sermon or a Bible study on eschatology, this would be a fantastic tool. You're going to see the report that it's going to give us at the end, and it's going to be a great resource, and it's going to really provide a lot of good scripture references that I'll be able to go back and forth. This is a starting point. This is not an end destination. And so these tools can absolutely make you lazy, but it is not going to help your ministry. If you just start regurgitating things that AI is producing and you're removing the Holy Spirit from your work and you're removing the labor, God wants us to labor through these things. This is not, there's actually almost a benefit, and there's scripture that talks about like, this should be challenging. Like we should wrestle with the word of God, and we should be, the goal here is not to make creating a sermon easy. The goal is to make it more effective and to make it deeper and more well researched. And so this is just a tool. Again, it's having more commentaries on your bookshelf. So let's just see where it's at in the activity. It's examining line 616 for details on Left Behind. And so I mean, there you go. We know where that's going there. That's a again, I mean that's a Left Behind, Kirk Cameron. There's a view there of eschatology, and so we're gonna get a wide range here, and that's good. We want to. One of the things that I think that this has actually helped me with is we tend to have books from the people that we align with, but man, it's good to have our positions challenged. And so maybe I don't agree with the Left Behind series and its take on Revelations, but I shouldn't leave that view out when I'm studying all of the views on eschatology. And so it's going to challenge us to read through other views. Um, and so it says, I'm curious about a survey showing a strong presence of premillennialism in evangelical theology, likely from the National Association of Evangelicals. And so, again, we're up to 22 sources in a matter of less than 5 minutes. And so we're going to let this continue to do its work. I'm going to pull up a video just that way we're not wasting time on stream. My goal is to keep these streams at about an hour, but I don't think that's going to happen because I actually want to demonstrate the agentic AI, and that process actually takes longer than deep research. Maybe we'll get to that, maybe we won't. But let me pull up this video and we will watch this together. Okay. So this is OpenAI's, which is the company that makes ChatGPT, introducing their new agent platform. I hope the sound works in this. I know I got a couple people moderating this, so if it's not working, please let me know. You should hear audio. Which that's kind of interesting. I mean, I apologize. I'm going to pause it a couple times. They're even just a 2 minute video. But for the creators to say that it's doing things that even surprise them, I think it does demonstrate the exponential growth of this technology. And so this technology is increasing at a rapid rate because they're using the technology to improve the technology. And so as the AI gets better and they're able to use the AI to further the development of AI, you know, we're seeing an exponential growth. And so even just in the last 2 years, when ChatGPT first went public and to what we're seeing now is kind of night and day. And so it's just interesting to hear the developer saying, once a week, it does something that just blows me away and surprises me that it's able to do that. It's like, you made it. But it just demonstrates that, they're making a tool that is actually able to kind of train itself and to improve itself. And this is where, when we're going to get into like artificial general intelligence, this is going to take place at an exponential rate. And so that's where things are going to get wild. So little explanation of what's actually happening. The way that they program this is it actually opens up a virtual browser inside of ChatGPT for the AI agent to use. And so this AI agent is actually in real time browsing the internet. And so if I told it, research and plan for a trip for me to go to Los Angeles at this time, I need the cheapest airfare to get me there at this time. I need a hotel. I need an itinerary of events and functions and entertainment that I can visit while I'm there. I need to do these different things. Go. It's actually going to go. It's basically like a travel agent, right? It's going to go do all of that for you. Now, they have worked in safeguards. Like, it's not, it could, I would recommend you don't, but it could, like, if you gave it your credit card information, it would be able to just process those things for you. Or you can actually just enter into the web browser and engage with the web browser and kind of take it over in real time and input in your payment information, input in these different things, or just kind of take it over yourself. So that's kind of the way that this is working. I will just mention I just got a notification from ChatGPT on my phone that my report on the evangelical views of eschatology is finished, and so I just got notified of that. So we're gonna let this video play out, and then we'll check out that report. And so again, I'm not. I mean, I haven't thought too much about how this agent's model will impact or be able to benefit pastoral ministry. I mean, I'm interested. I'm actually again, I'm going to test it for the first time tonight, whether on stream or off stream. And I look forward to kind of digging because there is, I mean, significant opportunity there if you were to kind of treat it like an employee and say, I need you to go do this work, go compile these resources, go put an itinerary together, go make a, you know, uh, slideshow presentation on this year's budget, whatever it is, for it to be able to just go and do that is pretty wild. And so there's definitely use case there. So let's jump back over to Chat GPT. Total of 23 sources. So this is the deep research report that we just got. And so just to bring it back, we asked it to basically do some a deep research. It took probably maybe 10 minutes of time to process. It asked us some questions, and then it started compiling. And so 23 resources that went through this entire activity line. This was its thinking through this. And okay, so right here, completed in 5 minutes. Ask yourself how long it would take for you to compile this research if you were to do this from scratch. And again, this is not your report that you created. You cannot or should not take this, copy it, and put your name on it and say, this, I, Brandon Smith, have researched, and this is my report. No, this is a tool. This is a tool that you can use to further your research and to create depth in what you're researching. But it's important. We don't want to be plagiarizing. And again, it's also important. Again, I always highlight this line here at the bottom. ChatGPT can make mistakes, and it does. And so you cannot take what is written in here as the gospel. And so when you're reading this no different than if you're reading a blog article from a pastor, if you're reading a commentary from a theologian. You're reading this and you're saying, how does this measure up? Is this what the word of God is saying? Test it like the Bereans. Okay, so this is the report. Major evangelical views on eschatology. Here's an introduction. And again, all of these are links. I can just click these. Comparison of Christian millennial interpretations. Below, we provide an in-depth overview of each view, pre-mill, post-mill, all-mill. And so then here it's gonna, and I'm not gonna read this whole thing on screen, but you can slow this down and read through it if you really want to. But it's gonna go through all the different views, and I'm just scrolling, and you can see the little cursor over here. We got a lot of ways to scroll here. This is not a short report. And so what I like to do, because I don't really like to read stuff on screen, um, I'm just going to copy this entire thing. And again, this is for my research. This is not for publishing it as my own work. So right here, we have a 23-page report that I would, if I was prepping this and I was looking to research these, I would print this, and I mean, I'm still, even though like I use AI and stuff, I'm still kind of old school. I like to have paper in front of me, and oftentimes I take these reports and I read through it, and I'm highlighting and I'm researching just like I would any other resource. This is not different. It's just we got there faster, and that doesn't mean it's worse. Faster does not mean bad. So we have all sorts of good information here, and so um, I hope you can see that how powerful this tool really could be. You could do the same thing if I wanted to do a deep research on, the spiritual implications of depression on single mothers, or if I'm prepping a marriage 911 class. I'm a pastor, I'm not a therapist, right? I have not been trained in that. And so it would benefit me to have a little better understanding. And so do a deep research on some of the psychological impact of various things or whatever. I mean, there's no shortage of things that we can do deep research on. The point is, this tool can, in 5 minutes, went through 23 sources. It did. I don't. I'm not actually going to print this right now. It showed how many searches it did as well. It's going to make me scroll all the way through this thing. I'm actually going to read this tomorrow. I'm actually interested. 23 sources, 54 searches. And it did that in 5 minutes. I mean, man, it's never been easier to get information. And that's a good thing. Information will help us as you're preparing your sermons, as you're preparing presentations, reports. It's good information. I'm on a building committee right now. Our church is going through an expansion project. If I want to do a deep research on the on pitfalls that churches experience, the emotional turmoil that churches go through during expansion projects and capital campaigns, and that happens. Churches fight over the color of the carpet and all those funny, it's not funny, it's tragic, but it happens. How can I as the chair of this building committee, I want to avoid those pitfalls. Well, let me do some research. Let me do some research and figure out how I can avoid those things. And so this is a great tool. This is ChatGPT's deep research. Again, 5 minutes, 23 sources, 54 searches, and we have a 20-page report on all the different views of eschatology. And so the sky's the limit. Never been easier to do great research to lead into better, more impactful, meaty, deep content. And so if that's a tool that you're looking for, again, Gemini has a tool equal to it. But so let's man, I wanted to keep this stream to an hour, but there's some things that I want to. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do it. I'm going to go here to new chat, and I'm going to go to agent. And I don't know how this is going to go. So if you're watching this live, congratulations, because this may not make it to a clipped video later if this doesn't go well. I don't know. But I did create a prompt already. I'm gonna put into this because there's been a task that's been on my plate for a while, and I've been wanting to work on it, and I just haven't had the opportunity. kind of keeps hitting the back burner. And as you're going to see, it's an important thing. It's something that our church really needs to work on. And so I'm going to do a little bit of my work on stream with you guys, and we're going to see if this is going to help me. And so the task that I have is I've acknowledged that my church's new visitor guest assimilation procedures is really lacking. We really don't have a good procedure for welcoming new visitors outside of, we hope they feel welcome. They do get greeted on their way in. We do have new visitor cards that we encourage them to fill out. And that's kind of it. If they fill it out, we do like have somebody reach out to them, but that's kind of it. We have tools. We're using Church Center for our church app. We have Text in Church. We have all sorts of tools that have templates and have functionality for new visitor follow-up that can be automated and do all sorts of things. We have a welcome desk that's really not being used that well. And so I want to kind of take on this task of creating a new A to Z new visitor experience. And so I was thinking, I was like, what could I demonstrate on stream for this agent to accomplish? And I was like, this might actually be a good task. So I have this prompt. I'm going to put it in. So this is the prompt. Develop a comprehensive guest assimilation strategy for my church. Start from the moment a new person walks through the door and guide them all the way to being fully integrated into the life and culture of our church. Here's our current setup. We have greeters, ushers, and a welcome desk, currently underutilized. We use Planning Center for people management. We use a church app. We also use Text in Church, currently only for scheduling bus rides. I want you to audit and recommend a full tech stack for visitor tracking, follow-up, and communication. Create a clear step-by-step procedure and timeline for guest engagement. First visit to plugged in. Suggest roles and responsibilities for volunteer staff. Outline how to integrate new guests into small groups, discipleship groups, and Bible studies. Draft a document or workflow chart that I can share with staff and volunteers. The goal is for every visitor to feel welcomed, follow up with, and show meaningful ways to connect and grow. Assume this is a church of 300 plus with room to scale. Again, I'm gonna be honest. I don't know how this is gonna go, but man, if it could do this, this is gonna be amazing, and it's gonna be hugely helpful for our church to be able to meet our visitors and to have a policy and a procedure to be able to make sure that no one's slipping through the cracks. Because we all know, we've probably all been in that position where we've slipped through a crack, where we maybe submitted a visitor card and no one reached out. So let's see what happens. So it is setting up a desktop. It's actually setting up a virtual computer inside of this chat thread. I'll develop a comprehensive guest assimilation strategy for your church, starting with, and then it goes to the different things. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit because I want to see the whole thing. So this is literally the desktop. It's showing the thinking, and it's showing what it's reading in the background. And so I just want to watch this from, because this is fascinating to me. This is like literally just from the last week, which is wild. I'm going to be speaking at a pastors conference in Florida in October, and I'm going to be presenting on some practical tools for pastors. And the crazy thing is, I feel like I can't even start preparing for it until late September, because the technology is changing weekly. And so this wasn't even out when I studied this for my doctorate last year. And so you can see this is live, and I can actually interrupt this if I wanted to interject a comment here. If I remembered something, and say, don't forget that we want it to be digital. We don't want paper in this process. I could enter this in, and it would then revise its thought process and then adapt. So let's just watch this for a minute. And so again, this is ChatGPT's agent, and it is developing A to Z new guest visitor assimilation procedure for my church. It's going to provide a tech stack of all the different tools and technology. It's going to outline roles and responsibilities for volunteers, and it's going to present some nice charts and graphs for me to be able to present this, or to even just better understand it for myself. Okay, so this is fascinating. I'm going to keep this up on screen. I'm going to be watching off the side of my while this is going, because again, this is going to take some time. I hopefully it will finish before we end the stream. I'd like for you guys to see the final result, but um, what I want to do while this is running, let me zoom in here a little bit. Um, so it's actually running a terminal right now. It's creating a flowchart using Python to visualize the procedure. Okay, so okay, we're gonna let this run in the background. Let's switch over to Gemini. So I mentioned one of the things. Actually, you know what? We're not going to do Gemini because I want to talk about. Yeah, we're going to talk about this. So this is a tool that I use every single day. I have a lot of meetings as a pastor. I sit on boards and committees. I already mentioned I'm the chair of our church's building committee. We're going through a large expansion project right now. I'm the pastoral rep for our deacon board. I have weekly staff meetings as the executive pastor, and so I lead a staff meeting every week. We all know meetings are only as good as the follow up that you can do from them. You can have a meeting, but if you leave that meeting without any next steps or a good understanding of what you talked about during that meeting, you might as well have not had a meeting. And so, oftentimes in meetings, we have secretaries who are taking notes and all these different things. This tool, and I'll show you. It's literally. There's two different versions. This is the one that I have. It's literally just this little pill. It's got a little lanyard strap. It's got one button that you press in the middle to turn it on and turn it off. It's got a little magnetic back, so you could kind of clip it to your shirt and you could wear it like a pin. That's a little too flashy for me. And I just dropped it. Hold on. What I do, I have this little wristband that it just kind of pops into. And then you can just put it on your wrist and wear it like a Fitbit, wear it like a watch. Um, and so what I do when I'm entering into a meeting, again, it's always good practice, especially depending on where you at. There are different laws and regulations regarding like letting people know that you're recording. In our church setting, there's no expectation of privacy, and in meetings, I let them know. Again, I'll use the example of our building committee. This has literally become our secretary, and so every single meeting, I start this, and it listens to the entire meeting. It transcribes the entire meeting. It's able to remember the voice patterns of all the different members on our business committee. And what that allows us to do on the back end, this is what the website looks like. Once you're done and you hit end, it then syncs to this cloud-based platform, and you can see all of these different meetings that I've taken place. I've categorized them into different things. Our building committee, we have weekly meetings. I've had meetings with different staff. Once this syncs, it then transcribes the entire thing. You can then summarize it. And so if I go to any of these, I don't want to open any of these because I don't want to. There's obviously personal, private information I'm not trying to put up on YouTube. But for example, this is an hour and 34-minute meeting that was recorded. I clicked that, and I'm not going to click it right now because I don't want you guys to necessarily see the contents of that meeting. But I want to click here to the temp. What basically happens is you click it, it pulls up the whole transcript, and you can hit a button to summarize. When you hit summarize, you're then met with all these different templates, right? Different meetings have different objectives. And so maybe it was a consulting, maybe it was a one-on-one discussion, a report, task assignments. If you're a student, you could record your lectures of your teachers, and then have it provide themes, takeaways, and highlights, training. So we can click any of these. There's thousands of different summary um, templates in here. Robert's Rules of Order. I tell you what, being the chair of a building committee, to be honest, I had no idea who Robert was until recently, and I found out that he's got a lot of rules. And if you don't know who Robert is and what his rules of order are, it's wild. But I understand it's a necessary evil. So, but this helped me a lot because I didn't understand how all these different things played out. I was able to utilize these summary templates to be able to summarize my meetings. Meeting secretary, it can literally just listen, and then at the end, you click this button, it transcribes and it summarizes everything. I have been able to, this tool alone has helped so much in the last 2 months of this expansion project, because every single time within the same night of the meeting, I'm able to send out really detailed summaries of our meeting, including takeaways, next steps, assignments, deadlines, everything automated. It knows who the speakers are. And so it says, Brandon is going to do this, and the deadline is this date, and it's included in the minutes. Again, this is not new. Secretaries can do this and have been able to do this, but the ease of use of this and the speed at which it's able to do it and the level of accuracy that it's able to do it. And again, it frees up our people to be able to spend their energy doing other things, right? And so all sorts of good opportunities, meeting minutes, one-on-one meetings, bullet points. There's even, if I go back here, medical. If you're at a doctor's appointment, you could literally record your doctor's appointment, go home, transcribe it, better understand some of the things your doctor was saying. Medical consultations, sales, if you're wanting to become a better salesperson, I mean, obviously we're talking about pastoral ministry here, but this tool kind of isn't just for pastors. It's for any meetings, discussions, consulting, lawyer, legal advice, discussions with experts, teaching notes. I mean, you name it. And I think there's financial. There was one in here. Oh, psychotherapy notes. I mean, imagine being able to. I don't want to start fights here, but if you and your wife were both consenting, and you wanted to record your guys' next. I like to call sanctifying conversations, also known as arguments. They're opportunities for growth in marriage. Once you record a meeting, there's a couple different things you can record the meeting, you can summarize the meeting, but then you can actually use its built-in AI to ask questions based on the meeting. You might be able to get a response to who was actually right or wrong in that argument. And so you see here, this is, again, it's just a tool. It's a helpful tool. Again, I use it all the time in all of my meetings. It just helps me be able to get good, solid meeting summaries and information out to my boards and committees in a quick, effective, efficient way. And so this is Plod.ai. You don't have to buy the hardware. You can, if you just get the subscription, you can import audio. And so you could use your iPhone or your Android or whatever and use the voice recorder. You could record a meeting, take that, upload it here. There is a subscription model. And so the subscription model is based on transcription minutes. And so, the longer the meeting, the more minutes you're using, and you're allotted a certain number of minutes per month. I personally, again, just because of what I do and this YouTube channel and all the different things that I'm like testing out, I have the unlimited. So literally, I could actually have this recording. The battery life on this is 20 hours of active runtime. I could literally start this in the morning and record my entire day go home, turn it off at the end of the day, and have it summarize my entire day and give me next steps. Here's some things that I need to work on tomorrow. Here's things that I might have forgot. Hey, don't forget, my wife asked me to take the trash out. I don't know, whatever it is, right? You get the picture, but it could record for 20 hours. That's active runtime is 20 hours. And then again, but if you don't have the unlimited subscription, you're going to burn through your hours really quick, or your subscription minutes. And so check that out. That's plod.ai. Again, it's just a good, helpful tool to summarize meetings. And if you're anything like me, man, I'm in a lot of meetings, and so that's really helped me out a lot. So, with that, let's go back to our. Looks like it's done. I think is this done. So this is the agent. The AI agent has completed this task for us. So it says, I'll develop this. It worked for 5 minutes. Here is the completed guest. So if you're just tuning in, we asked it to create A to Z guest assimilation process for my church for new visitors, including the tech stack, all the different technological pieces to it, the volunteer components to it, to create charts for me to be able to promote this or to better understand the process. This is the first time I've ever used it. So we're looking at this for the first time together. So here is the completed guest assimilation strategy and workflow. The report includes an audit of your current tech stack. I told it what we're currently using. A detailed step-by-step timeline for the first visit through full integration, volunteer roles, small group integrations, and best practices. And so looks like we have this report. I'm just kind of scrolling through this real fast. So, okay. So this is cool. So guest assimilation is the process of moving a person from a first-time visitor to a fully engaged member who shares in the mission of the church. Research on assimilation stresses that it is more than a Sunday morning greeting. It requires deliberate pathways that help newcomers feel welcomed, valued, and connected. Very true. I'm going to skip through this because I'm not going to read this entire document on screen. But you better believe I'm going to read this entire document once I end the stream. This document outlines a scalable assimilation strategy for a church of about 300 plus people using tools that we already have. Again, I told it what we already have. Planning Center, Church Center, and Text in Church. The goal is to make every visitor feel welcomed and to guide them into the life and culture of your church. So audit and recommended tech stack. Existing tools, greeters, ushers, welcome desk, volunteers, greeting visitors, seating them, answering questions. So that's what the greeters do. Planning Center is people, check-ins, and workflows, your core people management system. This is just outlining the tools. Church Center, this is our congregant-facing portal for groups, events, and giving. Text in Church is currently being used literally just for people to schedule rides to church from our bus. But I do know, and I'm interested to see if it uses it, Text in Church has really robust new visitor profiles and templates where like a person can text I'm new to our number, and it will like auto follow up with them in a week and like invite them to come to our visitor booth next week and different things like that. So I kind of know a little bit. Again, I was tasked with doing this, so I kind of already knew kind of where we were wanting to go. So we're going to kind of test it and see how close it gets to where I think that we want to go. Recommended tech stack. An effective assimilation process requires capturing guest information. So categories, recommended tools, purpose. So guest data capture, Planning Center forms, okay, and check-ins. So that's interesting. I was kind of thinking it was going to suggest Text in Church there because I think Text in Church also integrates with Planning Center. Not 100% sure on that. Use a digital connect card, QR code printed on seat backs or signage that feeds directly into Planning Center. Families with children can pre-register, check their children in online to reduce stress. For those without smartphones, provide paper cards collected by ushers. Guest mode for exploration, Church Center app. Church Center's guest access allows visitors to browse. We can enable that feature. That's interesting. I didn't know that we had that feature. So guest access to the app. Could be good. Follow-up automation. I'm interested in this. We currently really don't have any follow-up procedure except for a couple people who are tasked with like responding, which they do, but I think we can fine tune that process. So planning center workflows, set up workflows to assign follow up tasks, send emails, and track steps. An example: send a handwritten note, followed by a text or call, invite to next steps. So that might be able to be integrated into text and church. Text and email communication. Okay, see right there. Text in church integrated with Planning Center. So that's exactly what I thought it was going to suggest. Use text in church to send automated texts, emails, and voice calls. It's automated workflows. And let's see, we got a long ways to go here, but if it doesn't already, I could probably literally tell this to outline, like, tell me step by step how to set up these different workflows and procedures. Hopefully it did that for me already automatically, but I don't know that. Analytics and reporting, again, Planning Center. So it seems like Planning Center is going to be our main hub of everything, which makes sense. It's our people management. Online marketing, plan a visit, church website, text and church, and a plan your visit form. Integration summary. So here's the summary. I feel like I'm going to sneeze. Analytics, step-by-step guest engagement process. Pre-visit, plan a visit. Day 0, first visit. So this is now going to go through literally the daily what the visitor would experience. So on day 0, they visit. This is their first Sunday. This is what they would experience. Within 48 hours, this would happen. Midweek, next thing would happen. 1 to 2 weeks out, invitation to next steps. This is not taking place at all right now. So this would be a workflow that would send out an invite to maybe join our newcomer class or our foundations class, or a link to our various small groups or volunteer opportunities. That's good. I like that. Weeks 3 to 4, follow-up, staff review the guest's profile using Planning Center. So it's basically 1 month out. Activity notes, tabs. This ensures follow-up is based on real interactions rather than just generic messages. That's important. While it's good to have some automation here, we don't want to lose the personal connection in trying to connect with these new visitors personally. 5 to 6 weeks, membership and volunteering. Invite guests who have completed the newcomers class to a membership class. Explain membership expectations. That's good. Service involvement. Continued follow-up. This is now going to go through the roles and responsibilities. This did a lot of work. And again, I was going to do all this work. And so this is going to save me a bunch of time, because now I can go through and I already know there's things in here I want to change, and I'm not going to follow this. But this is a huge starting point. This is not starting at 0. This is a big jump start in this process of trying to create this process. This is great. I'm happy to see that this is its own category. Integrating guests into small groups and discipleship. There's an entire section here. Workflow and chart. Flow chart below summarizes the recommended assimilation process. First visit, team greeters, day 1. Not the best looking chart. I think that left a little bit to be desired, but it is helpful. Implementation notes and best practices. That's helpful. Be flexible and iterative. Meet people where they are. Document everything. Focus on relationships. Conclusion. A successful assimilation strategy helps visitors move from observers to family members who embrace the church's mission. By combining strong first impressions, intentional follow-up, hospitality teams, clear next steps, robust technology, and relational connections, your church can ensure that every visitor feels known, loved, and equipped to grow. Regularly review metrics and feedback to refine the process and cultivate a culture where all members participate in welcoming others into the body of Christ. That's good. Man, that's what I was hoping that I would get from it. And so we can see all the sources that it used here. It pulled a lot of resources. Which again, let's just think about this. I know AI can be a hot button thing. If you were tasked with creating a new visitor process for your church, what would you do? You would probably go online and research what other churches are doing. What tools are out there? How can you use the current tools you have to maybe accomplish some of these things? That's that's what it did for us. It just went and did the research. It looked at the various tools that we're using, what other churches are doing, best practices, and it compiled a nice starting point report for us. And so this, man, I think it did a pretty good job, and I'm certainly going to be using this. So this is ChatGPT's agent mode. I believe you have to be on the premium version to get this. Not a, I haven't. This just came out. I think I just got access to this from the last like 72 hours. So I'm going to continue to play around with this and think through some other applications that this can be used in pastoral ministry. I think that there's a lot of ways this could be used. And so I'm excited to, we'll probably do almost an entire episode on this because this is the newest thing. And so agenic AI that is going to go out and do stuff. You're going to start hearing more about this, like a lot. And so this is where AI goes from being informative to actually taking action and doing stuff. So I didn't have it do it here, but this tool would be able to research, put together shopping carts of if I wanted to book a date night for me and my wife to, get me to the checkout screen on a hotel, research the cheapest options for this or a restaurant gift options under a certain range, and then compile all these things. And then all I would do is go on and review it and put in my credit card information, and it's done. So it's going to start being more practical and more useful in its utility, which is going to be interesting. That's going to provide. It's going to present a lot of new problems when you're using this. This is a tool that you need to be careful when using, because there's going to be new hackers are going to find ways to use this against you and steal credit card information and do all these different things. So do not give this your credit card information. Don't give it personal information, because again, some hacker could create a payload to inject into this, that while this is going through different websites, it could inject itself in, and it could do all sorts of crazy stuff. So this is a new tool. Treat it as such. Use it with caution. But this is brand new. And so with any brand new technology is going to come inherent risks. And so again, use that with caution. But man, so just to reiterate, we asked the AI agent to create an A to Z, start to finish guest assimilation procedure and process for our church. It did that. It outlined the tech stack, the tools that we're currently using, how we can best use those tools. It outlined the different roles and responsibilities of volunteers and staff, the timeline of events for a new guest, how we can implement this process, the flow chart for what it looks like, and then best practices, pitfalls, and things for us to be aware of. And so huge. This is a great resource. I'm glad I tested this, and so I'm going to continue to play around with this. We'll revisit this again in the future. I mentioned at the beginning of this that I was going to talk about my switch from ChatGPT to Gemini, and we're just down to time. We went to this an hour and 15 minutes already. I'm not going to go further. There's enough tools in Gemini. We'll probably just move that on to next week. And so if you're watching this and you're a pastor and you're wanting to learn, I believe, and I'm just going to say this, I believe Google Gemini currently is a better general platform for pastors and ministry leaders practically. I think it is going to give you the best bang for your buck. It's going to be able to do more for you across different applications. And I think it's actually giving better results in some specific ways. And so we're going to push that to next week. And so if you're looking for that, it's going to be an A to Z Google Gemini, what it can do and how you can use it for ministry. We're going to do that next week. So next Sunday, come back, listen in, and we'll go over Google Gemini for that. I just want to thank you guys for your time and for sticking in and watching this, whether you're watching it live or whether you're watching this clip down on YouTube later. AI can be a scary thing. It's new. It's with any new thing comes some fear and reservations, and that's not a bad thing. It's good for us to be skeptical. It's good for us to be cautious in how we use these things. But there's tremendous use power here. There's use cases. There's as a pastor, you can use these tools ethically, morally, and effectively to reach people in your city and in this world with the gospel of Jesus Christ. And that's really my goal, is to just equip you to be able to do that better. And so whether that's any of the things we covered in this episode, which was how to create graphics to promote your events, how to write better prompts, how to do better research and whatever it is that you want to research, how you can use an AI agent to create procedures for you in your church, how you can have better notes from your meetings through a digital secretary like the one I'm wearing on my wrist using Plod AI, or using Google Gemini, as we're going to talk about next week. There's a lot of opportunity, and I would just encourage you to try it. Check it out, see how you can use it, play around with it. There's free versions for all this stuff. Get into Google Gemini, get into ChatGPT, ask it questions, and do some research. But again, this is important. This is a starting point. This is not the end. Everything we do needs to be sifted through the Word of God. The Word of God is the sole foundation for everything we do. And so anything you get from AI, treat it like something you were to get off Wikipedia, right? Wikipedia can have some great information on there. It can also have some wrong information. And so treat it as such, use it as a starting point to aid and support you in your work, and let it help you. We don't have to make things harder than we need them to be. And so there's a misnomer that if it's hard for us to do it, it's going to present a better result. And that's not necessarily the case. We are at a time where we can do things easier and actually end up with a better end result. And so that's not a bad thing. Let's lean into that. We use technology every day as pastors. I'm using technology right now through YouTube to communicate all of this. We use email. We use debit cards. We use Google. We use YouTube. All these different things. And so don't be afraid. God is sovereign. God is ruling. He who is in us is greater than he who is in the world. And so while yes, the devil can use technology, and he does every day, God can too. And we have the Holy Spirit in us, and we need to be Spirit-led, and we need to be bold and courageous to move forward and to reach people with the gospel of Jesus Christ. And so that's my goal for all of us. And I just want to thank you guys for tuning in. We're gonna sign off. We're gonna log off. I want to thank everybody, and we will catch you, I hope, Lord willing, next week, next Sunday, sometime around 8:30. These things kind of start at different times. I have a full-time job. A couple people that I have as guest speakers that come on here have full-time jobs. And so we can't always start right at 8:30. This is not our job. This is just a side thing that we do to try to aid and support pastors. And so the best thing that you can do is to subscribe to the YouTube channel, like the video, hit the notification bell, so that way when we do end up going live, you'll be notified and you can hop on, because we want you in the comments. We want people in the comments saying, hey, how could I do this? How could AI help me with this project? Help me create a graphic for this. We'd love for this to be a back and forth live stream. This is not just a lecture. I want to be engaging with you guys. So comment on these videos, even if you're watching them later on. Comment things that you'd like to see us tackle, AI in pastoral ministry and different use cases. And so with that, we're going to sign off. I want to thank you guys again, and we will catch you in the next one.